Okay, so we are going to revise what we have studied yesterday, that is responsiveness. Okay, so before starting, can you guys tell me what is responsiveness?
It's when your website adjusts to the display sizes.
Exactly, good, very good. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. Okay, then I'll generate the boilerplate. Save it, and let's change the title to responsiveness, and then I'll go live. And yeah, here we have the screen. Okay, so again we are going to start off easy. So first thing is, how do we check for responsiveness? Like, how do we check uh, what's the screen size? Yeah, inspect, right click, inspect, and then we click on this icon, and basically I'll click on it, and here we have, currently we have pixel 7, but we want to select responsive so that we can change it according to whatever we want. Okay, so at the moment the screen size is saying, what's the screen size for this?
1548.
Yeah, yeah, good. 1548 is currently the size. Okay, so what we want is, by default we want our website to have, let's say, green color. Okay, so we'll do what we usually do. So I'm gonna go inside the head. For this we are gonna do the internal styling. So I'll put the style tag, and then I'll target my body. So I'll say body, and then I'm gonna say background color to be green. Okay, now we have this green color. So what next I want is, when my screen size reaches 500 pixels or less, when my screen size reach 500 pixels, this time it's 500, okay, not 600. When it reaches 500 pixels or less, I want my body to change the color from green to red. Okay, does the problem statement makes any sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so for that we use what?
The ad media?
Yeah, basically we use media queries. Okay, that add media is called media queries. So how do we write media queries?
Ad media.
Yeah, good. At the rate
Space,
media space,
space,
yes, space is must,
parentheses,
parentheses.
max width,
Yeah, we can use two things. We can use max width and we can use min
or
width.
min.
What would max width refer to? What does?
Everything above
Uh-huh. Everything?
500.
Yeah, everything below. So basically it's opposite. So when we say max width and we write some width, so that would mean below that width. And when we say min width, that would mean whatever width we write, above that width what you have to do. Okay, so mostly we have to use max width. Okay, but you should know about both of them. So I'm going to say max dash, and width I'll say, let's say, how much did I want it?
500.
500. So I'll say 500 px, and after this I'll put curly braces. So everything I write inside between these curly braces is going to be executed only when my screen size reach 500 pixels and below. Okay, so what do I want to do is, I want to change my color of for the body to be red. So inside these curly braces, it's the same CSS again, but it's for the smaller screen. So I'll target the body, and I'll say the background for the body is going to be, let's say, red. So yeah, it didn't change the color. Why?
Because you have to
Yeah,
make it smaller.
yeah, how much smaller?
Below 500. 500.
Good, 500. Below 500 or 500? So I'm going to reduce the size. The moment I would reach below 500, it's going to change to red. So below 500 is going to be red, above 500 is going to be green. Okay, so what next I want is, when it reaches below 300 pixels, I want it to have, let's say, blue color. So what should I do?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the background it only changes to that color if the screen is 500 pixels
Yeah,
smaller.
500 and smaller, yes. Okay, so
Okay.
everything I write between these curly braces is only going
Yeah.
to be
Okay.
executed when the screen size is 500 pixels or less. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so what next I want is when I reach 300 or below 300 pixels, I want it to have blue color. So what should I do, and where should I do?
Under the
You're gonna do it
and
below the
Below,
500.
yes. If,
yeah.
if we have max width, we're gonna follow the descending order. First the biggest one, and then the smaller one. And we're gonna go below it, and I'll say what?
At
At
media.
media.
Adobe media, and then space.
Max width.
Yeah,
And
curly
then
parentheses, max width, and then
was it a colon?
colons. Yeah, and what was the width I wanted?
300.
300. Px is must.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do I want to do?
And the background. You're gonna target the body.
Yeah, good. I'm gonna target the body, and then
And then background.
first
Curly
curly
bracket.
brackets. Yeah, and then I'll say background color to be what was it? Blue. Okay, on the biggest screens we have green color. When we reach below 500, it's gonna change to red, and when we go below 300, it should change to blue, and it is changing to blue. So blue, red above 300, and above 500 we're gonna have green. Okay, so does this make any sense? Is it easy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
So
makes sense.
okay, so let's do something more. Let me remove all of this. Inside the body, I'll have an h1 with a class of, let's say, first, and I'll have let's make it, let's say, first heading. I'm gonna copy it down, and I'll say second heading, and I'll change the class to second. Okay, so now we have first heading and second heading, and with the classes of first and second. Okay, so what I want here is, for the bigger screens, I want the first to have, let's say, red color, the second to have, let's say, green color. What should I do? What should I do in order to make them like that for the bigger screen? Where you
You're
wanna
gonna
have?
do the at media sign.
No, for the bigger screen first. Bigger screen doesn't require the media.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so I want to change the colors for first and second. What should I do for the biggest screen?
Target the body.
Just the first and second, not the body. So I'll target
Are you gonna target
first. Yeah,
H1?
first.
Oh,
H1 is
first.
going to target both of them. I just want the first
Yeah.
one. So I'll say first. Let's say it's going to have a color of red, and background is going to be, let's say, yellow, and perfect. Yeah. Okay. And for the second, I'll say the color is going to be yellow, and the background is going to be red. Okay, so basically this is the reverse order. Okay, the first one has the red color and yellow background, and the second one has the yellow color and red background. Okay, so what I want to do is, when I reach below 650 pixels, I want to swap them in a sense that I want to change the color of first one into the second one, and the second one into the first one. Like the first one now should have the red background and yellow color, and the second one should have red color and yellow background below 650 pixels. What should I do?
At media.
At the rate media. Good. And then space, parentheses, max weight.
650 px.
We have 650 px. Okay, so change the order for them. So what should I target first? Let's do this one first. So what is this one? first, yeah. So I'll say first, and then change the colors. Yeah, the color. So what should be the color for the first one?
Yellow.
It should, yeah, it should go to yellow, and the background is gonna go to, yeah, the background should be red. So if I go below 600, it should do that, and yeah, it is doing it. Okay, same thing with the second one. What should I do?
At media.
No.
In the target the second.
Yeah, we'll target the second in the same media, and then color is gonna be what? Red, and the background should be yellow. So yeah, it's doing good. Okay, so what next I want is I want to decrease the width for both of them for the bigger screen. Okay, so for the bigger screen I'll say the width of this one should be, let's say, 60%, and the second one should have a width of, let's say, 40%. I want them in the center, so what should I do? No, the whole thing to be in the center. Margin. So I'll say margin auto, but I want the margin from top and bottom, so I'll say 2 rem auto. Similarly for this one I'm going to say margin and 2 rem auto. Perfect. Okay, so when we reach, let's say, when do we have the problem? Here we have the problem. First of all, both of them should be in the center, so I'll say text align in the center. Again for this one as text align in the center. Okay, yeah. So when do we have the problem? Here we have the problem. What's the screen width? 577. So I'll go below here, and I'll say @media and space max width. Where's the dash? Max width, and let's round it off to maybe, let's say, 580. So I'll say 580 px. So what should I do? I need to increase the width. So I'll say below 580 pixels it should have, the first one should have a width of, let's say, 90%, and the second one, let's say, should have a width of 80%, so that they have more space to move around. So perfect. Look, for the biggest screen we have more width, less width, and for the smaller screens we have more width. Okay, does that make any sense? Okay, so I think now we should move towards something more practical, and we already did it yesterday, so it will be easy for you now. So it's the same homework. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to create an app bar. Now it's really important because most of the times it's always the same kind of nav bar. We have the logo, we have the menu items. So this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 are going to be good, and this one is going to have this button. And for the smaller screen, for the mobile screens, we are going to have wait, just like this. We'll have the logo, and we'll have that icon where we can, just portray kind of like a menu, where you click and the menu opens like this. So this is what we want for the smaller screen. Okay, let me write it here, smaller screen, and this is what we want for the larger screens. Okay, so is the layout clear? Is the layout clear? Okay, so let's start designing it. Have we discussed about semantic tags?
No.
We did, I guess. We did. So what were semantic tags?
Yeah, we discussed about that.
So what were semantic tags? What are semantic tags? Like tags that basically have some meaning. Yeah, good, exactly. That makes sense to both computer and the human. So which semantic tag should we use for this one? Yeah, good. The nav bar.
Nav.
Nav, good. So we have this tag with the name of nav. Okay. So inside the nav we have how many divs? How many divs do we have? We have the logo.
Two.
We have the we have the menu icons, and then we have the
Three.
button. We have three. So I'll say the logo. I'll say the menu items, items, and for this one, let's make it into simply a button. And also, we have multiple things here: 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of continuously making the divs again and again, we can create this into a UL. Okay, just make this into a UL so that we don't have to create divs again and again. UL is also a div. So let's go back to our website. We don't have anything. So inside the logo, we are going to put an image. So I'll say image coding, and let's say logo, and we want the icon. So I'll say tools, size, and I'll say icon. And which one is looking good? Let's say this one. So right click, copy image address. So inside the logo, I'm going to put the image. I'll put it here. I'm going to change the width to, let's say, 100 pixels. Sounds good. We don't have it. What's the problem? Well, we should have the image, so why can't we see it? Copy image address. Is it here? Is it? Yeah, it should be here. Wait, let me refresh. What's happening here? I put the image. Let me control and click it. It's gonna take us to the link. If it's good, it should display. Yeah, the link is good. So why isn't the image working? Let me restart my server. So I'm gonna click it again. It's gonna close the server, and then I'll click on go live again. No, I still don't see it. Why don't I see it? Let me inspect it and go inside the body. We have the nav, we have the logo, and we have the image. Yeah, we have it. So why can't we see it? Want me with the width to be, let's say, 200 pixels?
Yeah. Is it with 200?
No, it should have been. Even if we were to put 10 pixels, it should. Look, we have the image, but it's not being displayed. So maybe there's some problem with the image. So let's change it. Maybe use this. Copy image address and paste it instead of that image. So yeah, now we have a problem with the image. So it's good. 100 pixels is too much. So let's say 50 pixels. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So now the second one is our list. So inside the UL, I'm gonna say what? What should I say inside the UL? Which tag? Which li? Yeah, good. Li. So I'll say, let's say first one is gonna say home. Second one is gonna say services. Third one would say, let's say, about. The fourth one is gonna say contact. Yeah, and last one is a button. So I'll say button, and it will say contact us. Yeah, so everything's good. So now I want them side by side. What should I do?
Display flex.
Good. Display flex on what?
The
On what?
menu item. Menu items.
Uh-huh. First I want the logo, the menu items, and the contact to be side by side.
Oh, so logo? Logo.
Uh-huh.
Wait, no. Wait.
Who's the parent for all of them?
Wait, let me see.
Who's the parent for the logo?
The nav,
The
nav.
nav. Yes, the nav. So I'm gonna do internal styling for this one. Okay, maybe let's do the this one. So I'm gonna create styles.css. And how do I link both of them? Linking is very important. Okay, you have to link in order for them to make it work. So what's the tag for linking them up? How do I link these files?
Oh, is it a styles tag? No.
I'll say
Link.
link. And what do I want to link? styles, yeah,
dot css.
styles.css. Okay, so let's test it out first. Body, I'm gonna give it a background color so we can test that everything's working fine. Yeah, it's working. So I'll say nav, and nav should have a display of flex. Perfect. Now I want to spread them apart. How do I do that? Like on the x-axis, like this. I want to spread them.
Justify
Yeah,
content.
good. Justify content. Let's say what? What do I want to do? Should we do space between or space around? Which one
Space
would look
around.
good?
Space
Yeah, space around.
between.
Space around is gonna
Space
look.
around.
Yeah, it's gonna look good. So we would have more space from left and right. Okay.
Okay.
So I want this to. Why didn't this come? Side by side. Why didn't this list is side by side?
Cause it's listed. Like it,
Because we did put the display of flex. So why haven't this list is side by side? Come to side by side. It's a simple question. In fact, you have
has a
answered.
different. It has a different parent.
Yeah, good. It has a different parent. And who's the parent for this? This one. Here's the code in front of you. Who's the
Menu
parent?
items. Is it menu item?
Yeah, menu items. So I'll say dot menu items should have a display of flex. Yeah, and it should have a gap of, let's say, 2 rems. Okay, now I want to remove these dots. How do I remove these dots? This is a new property. Okay, no, it's not a new property. We have discussed about this, I guess. Have you or have you not? I guess we have, yeah. And this,
Ordered list?
no. When we remove, how do we remove the styles? Like, how do we change the styles? We can use, we if we wanted to put ABC, we can do that as well. If we wanted to put Roman counting, we can do that as well. So what was the property for that? It was list and style.
Yeah.
So we don't want any style, so I'm going to say none. Perfect. So there is a problem here. If I were to turn on my pesticide, they are not aligned. Look, the button is above, the list is below, and they're not aligned. How do I do that? Good. Align items on the parent, and here's the parent, and I'm going to say align items in the center. Perfect. So let's start the button as well. So what should I say? Contact and then button, or just contact? Should I target?
Just content.
If I were to say just contacts, I'm going to target this div only. I want to target this button.
So that button.
Yeah.
Only button.
If I were to put only button, it's going to target all the buttons.
That button.
Yes, contact and then button. So also, let's say first give it a padding, maybe let's say 0.7 rem and 1 rem from left and right, and let's make it round. So I'll say border radius and 10 pixels. Yeah, good. And then I want to remove the border, so let's say border none. Then I want to change the color, so I'll say background color to be, let's say, cyan. Maybe cyan would look good. Yeah, perfect. And then we'll have color to be white. Then I want to make them make it bold. How do I make it bold?
Font weight.
Oh wait.
Good. Font weight, and also let's say bolder. Perfect. Now comes the fun part. So let's check the responsiveness for it. We're gonna see the breaking point at which our website becomes less responsive. So decrease the size, and here. So what is the size?
542.
542. So let's round it off to maybe, give me a number.
Like 545.
Yeah, we can do 545. So how do I do that?
At the rate of
Good.
media.
At the rate media, and then
Space.
space, and then
Parentheses.
yeah,
Max
max
width.
width. Good. Columns
545.
545 px, and I'll say, what should I say? this is what
Target the width.
this is where no, we can't do anything with the width, because can you see any space to move around for the nav? There's no space to move around.
Yeah.
So width is not going to do a lot of things for us. So what should we do? This is what we want on the smaller screen. So what is happening? First tell me what is happening on the smaller screen.
There's a gap between. There's only two.
Exactly, there's only two. The menu item is no more, plus the button is no more as well. So what should we do in order to make them, go, make them vanish? Like we don't want them anymore. So what should we do? We're gonna say the menu items is now gonna have a display of none. So what's gonna happen with the menu items is it will just vanish.
Okay.
Okay. Similarly, we want to do the same with the button as well. So what should we do?
So it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, good. We're gonna say comma and then dot context. So we don't want any of them to be displayed. So here you go. But we want this icon to be there. So where do we get our icons from?
Bootstrap.
Yeah, good. Bootstrap. So I'm gonna say bootstrap icons. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get the CDN. So I'm not gonna scroll down. I'll just press Control F. It's gonna open this universal finder, and I'll say CDN. It's gonna get me to CDN. I'll copy it and I'm gonna paste it in the index.html, and then I want to use the list, so I'll say list, this one, copy. So I want it to be after the button, so I'll just put it here. So perfect, here we have it. Okay, but there's a problem, and the problem is this. What is the problem, by the way? What is the problem with this? Is this okay, or we have a problem here?
There's the problem.
No. The problem is we don't want this on the bigger screen. We don't want this on the big screen. Yes, it should only be visible on the smaller screen. So tell me, what should we do?
Can we display it as well?
Exactly, good. On which screen? Bigger screens or smaller screens? The big screen, good. So where should I go? Inside the media or outside the media? I want to hide it on the bigger screen. So inside or outside?
It would be outside.
Outside, good. So I'll target what was the name of this one? So it was BI list. So I'll target BI dash list. The first thing I want to do is I want to make it bigger so we can see it properly. So I'm going to say font size, let's say 2 rem. Perfect. Now we want to hide it. So I'll say display none. So we won't see it anywhere. In fact, even if we were to go on the smaller screen, we won't see it. So how do we see it? I want to see it on this smaller screen. So what should we do?
You have to write it inside the
Good. Very good. We're going to write it inside the media. So it's the same media. The same media where the menu items and contact is displayed none. We want to show the list now. So inside the same media, I'm going to target bi-list. So I'll say display. What should be the display? Now I want to see it. Why should I put the display to be? Block. Okay, we want to see it. Save it. And we don't have it on the biggest screen, but once we reach the smaller screen, here you go. Okay. One more thing I want is, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. One more thing I want is, I want to space them apart. Like this space doesn't look good on the smaller screen, or does it look good? It doesn't look good. So I want to remove it. How do I remove it? No, the width is 100% by default. Look, it takes up the full space. So, okay, the first question before that question is, why do we have this space? And you guys have told me this when I asked you, when we were doing the nav bar recently, you have told me to do this. So why do we have this space?
Is it by
No, no, it's not by default. So when I asked you guys about spreading the content, like how do we spread the content? What did you guys said? That justify content space around. So basically, this space is because of that space around. We want it to be space around on the bigger screens, but on the smaller screens, I want it to be space between. So yeah,
Justify content.
good. Justify content. What?
Media.
Inside the media. Very good. And what should be my selector?
Nav.
Very good. Nav. So inside the nav, we're gonna say justify content and space between only on the smaller screen. So here you go. Look, on the bigger screens, we're gonna have that space. But once we reach that smaller screen, we wouldn't have that. So perfect. Okay, but we can do that where we click on this and the menu opens, because that is something that is JavaScript is going to do. Okay, that animation and that functionality is going to be the work of the JavaScript. So for the time being, it's perfectly all right for the mobile screens. Okay, do you have any questions about the nav bar? This is the most difficult section. So if you get this section, everything after it, it's going to be easy. So any problem with the nav bar?
No.
Okay, great. What do we want more? Let's go towards the hero section. So for the hero section, I'll have again that same layout which we have for every website. We'll have the heading, we'll have the paragraph, we'll have two buttons, and this one, wait, let me do it again because I wanted to do it for the smaller screen as well. So this is the larger screen. We have the title section, the image section. The title section is going to have the heading, the paragraph, and then we have two buttons. And for the smaller screen, the same layout is gonna be like this. The title section is now going to be above, and the image is going to be below, and everything inside the title section is going to be in the center, like this, and the two buttons will be in this. Perfect. So any question about the layout?
No.
Okay, this is the larger screen and this one is the smaller screen. Okay, so let's start. So let me collapse the nav bar so we have more space to see. Let's put the command here. So I'll say it's the hero section. So I'll put the section tag. It's like a div but semantic div, and let's name it hero. Okay, so how many divs do we have inside the hero?
Two.
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 Good. So I'll say the title section, and I'll say the image section. Inside the title section, we're gonna have this h1, and I'll say this is our website. And for the second, it's gonna have a p, and I'll say lorem, and let's say 10. Yeah, 10 looks good, and both of them are side by side. So what should I do?
Display flex.
Good. For that, we need to have a div. Okay, so I'll say bdns for both buttons, because display flex needs a parent, and I'll say button, and it's gonna say, maybe let's say sign up, and the second one is gonna say sign in. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Oh, and for the second one, we're gonna have, let's say, image coding again. Let's do the PNG one, so we don't have the background. So color, we want the transparent, and let's do some well, let's say this one. Okay, right click, copy image address, and inside the second one, we're gonna have the image tag, paste it, and the width should be 100%. And for the alt, we're gonna say it's a hero image. Perfect. Okay. Now I want them side by side. What should I do? Good. Display flex on what? Who's the parent? Hero. Good. So outside the media queries, because first we're gonna do the designing for the bigger screen. And one more thing, you have to make each section responsive side by side. What do I mean by that? First you're gonna design it for the larger screen, and when you're done with the larger screen, you're gonna do it with the smaller screen at that specific time. Okay, you don't have to wait to create all the section first and then do the responsiveness, because it's gonna be it wouldn't be possible to do that. First, let's say you have 10 sections. How you're going to create the website is, first you are going to create first section for the bigger screen, and once you're done with the bigger screen, then you are going to move towards the responsiveness of that screen. You shouldn't move towards the second section, because it's going to be, it wouldn't be possible if you were to do all the sections for the larger screen first and then move towards the responsiveness. It won't be possible. Why is that? Because we would have like literally hundreds of divs, so you wouldn't remember which div we used for the first section or second section. So first you're going to do this for the bigger screen, and once you're done with the bigger screen, move towards the responsiveness. Okay, so the hero section, I'm going to say display and flex. Okay, now I want to make it smaller, the main section. First let me put the border so we can see where our div is aligned. So solid red, let's say. Yeah, I want to decrease the size. What should I do? Width. Good. So I'll say width, let's say maybe 70%. I want them in the center. Margin. Yeah, good. Margin. So I'll say margin 2 rem and auto. Maybe let's increase the width to 75%. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so now I want to make the size for the title to be bigger. So I'll say the title section, and then H2 is gonna have a font size of, let's say, font size, let's say 3 rems. It's not H2, it's H1. Yeah, perfect. And for the paragraph, we'll do the same thing. Let's increase the font size to be 2 rems, not H1P. It's too big. So maybe let's say 1.4. Yeah, that's look good. And there's a problem here, but look, the problem is, if I were to do more low rem, let's say 50. What's the problem here? Do you guys see any problem, or is it okay?
No, it's not okay. It doesn't look like well adjusted.
So what's the problem? The problem is basically what Flex is going to do is, if we have more content in one child as compared to the second child, the Flex is going to give more width to that child, the one having more content. But we want both of them to have the same dimensions. So what should we do? What should we do in order to make each section to have exactly the same dimensions? Yeah, good. It's width. So I'll say no. Height is going to be auto adjusted. Okay, the width isn't adjusted, whereas height is going to be auto adjusted. So we'll say title section, comma, and then image section. We're going to say width for both of them should be 50%. Or let's say 100%, so that it basically takes whatever Flex is assigning. Perfect. Now both of them are perfectly what Flex is assigning them. So let me remove the paragraph. So which should be 100%. Okay, so whatever the Flex is giving, take it. Okay, one more thing, they are not aligned. Like the text is above as compared to the image. I want them both to be in the center. So what should I do? Like it's above as compared to the image. I want them both in the center. What's the property for that? You guys have told me. Like, the question was this heading. Yeah, align items. This heading is above as compared to the image. So the property is align items. So where should I go and put align items? Like who's the parent? Who's the parent for this? This one. The yeah, hero. Good. So I'll say align items in the center. Perfect. So we have a lot of space here. Why do we have this space? Can you guys tell? Why do we have this space? Do you guys remember something what I told you about? Every element by default has some margins and parings.
Yeah.
So how do we remove that?
You have to target the pattern and margin.
Where do I put the padding and margin to be 0? There was something else. On top, we're gonna say asterisk star. Yeah, star is going to represent everything. We will say P0 and
Margin will be
yeah. So now we don't have that space. Okay, so maybe let's decrease the size and also let's do the font size to be better. So I'll say body is gonna have the font family of sans serif. Yeah, perfect. And the paragraph should be smaller, it's too big. Yeah, it looks good now. And maybe let's say increase the number of lines. So I'll say lorem 20. Yeah, perfect. And now I want to have some different colors, so I'll say color to be gray, some darker shade of gray. So here we have the darker shade. Yeah, perfect. Okay, and one more thing is I want to have some it's a new property. Okay, can you guys see these lines are really close up, like they're too close to each other. So I want to put space between the lines of the paragraph. So how do we do that? How do we put space between the lines? So basically the property is line height. Okay, it's gonna do what? It's gonna put the space between the lines. Okay, we can't use margin because margin is gonna be applied above this paragraph or below this paragraph. It's not gonna be applied between the lines. So if you want to have some space between the lines of the text, you're gonna say line height and let's say 2. It doesn't take any pixels or margin. Okay, so 2, maybe let's say 2 is too much, so 1.4. yeah, looks good. Okay, now we want to have some space from top and bottom of this paragraph. So inside the paragraph we're gonna say margin and let's say 1 rem 0. Yeah, perfect. Now let's do these buttons. So I'll say, what was the name of the buttons? It was bdians. Okay, so I'll say dot bdians is going to target the div and then I'll say button. So it's going to target both of the buttons that are inside the bdians. So let's say padding to be 0.8 rem and 1.5 rem from left and right. Yeah, looks good. And for the border radius, let's do a little bit of border, maybe 5 pixels, and let's remove the border, and padding is too much from top and bottom. Determine 5, and let's change the color to the same as we had for the above color. So I'll say background color to be cyan, and the color is going to be white. Font weight is going to be, let's say, bolder. Yeah, and now let's remove this, or maybe not remove it, just okay. So now we have our website ready for the bigger screen. Okay, it looks quite good. So let's do the same thing for the smaller screen. How do we check the responsiveness? Right click, inspect, and now you guys are going to tell me when we have the problem, when the problem arises. So I'm going to decrease the size. Wait, here. So it is 1200 pixels. Okay. So where do I write the 1200? Below this or above this? Above. Why is that? Because 1200 is bigger than 545. So I'll say at the rate media space and then parentheses max width is how much? 1200 pixels. Okay, so you guys are gonna tell me what should we do in order to make it look better. What should we do?
For the smallest one?
Yeah, like 1200 pixels. Like if I were to make it more smaller,
Yeah.
it's gonna change. It's gonna make my website messy. So what should I do in order to make both of them accommodate accordingly?
Make it
Okay,
smaller
the
than
first thing you're gonna consider is, do we have space to make the parent bigger or not? That's the first thing you need to consider. Okay, so do we have the space to make the parent bigger or not?
No.
Think again. That's why I haven't removed the border. Do we have the space? We have.
Yeah.
We have this space from left and right. We have a lot of space, in fact. So what we can do is, for 1200 we can make.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the border that we have enough space. So did we use max width?
No. We haven't used max
For the
width.
whole page?
We have no. So basically we have put the width of the main section. What was the width of the main section? It was 75%.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we have some space here, so we can increase the size of the parent. When we increase the size of the parent, we would have more space for the inner content.
Right.
Okay, so for the 1200 pixels, what we can do is, the first thing you are going to consider is the width. Okay, so we can change the width of the hero section. So I'll target the hero and I'll say width to be, what should we do? Maybe it's 75 at the moment, so let's make it 85. So let me decrease the. Okay, perfect. Look. So now the next problem arises right here. Or maybe let's say, instead of 85%, let's make it 95%. Okay, here's the problem. Here, 944. Let's round it off to maybe 1000 pixels. So where should I write the 1000 pixels? Yeah, good. So I'm gonna copy it down. I'll just change this 1200 to 1000. Okay, now what should we do? The first thing was the width. Now we don't have any width. Okay, we the 95 is good because we want to have some space from left and right, so that it doesn't just sticks up to the borders of the screen. So now we don't have any width. What should we do? What should we consider in order to make it look good? Plus the screen size is too big to make them in column wise direction. So what should we do? What can we do? Like, okay, the first thing you want to do is, what is the thing here that is creating the problem for us? What is the thing? What is the element that is creating the problem for us? Exactly, the heading. So basically the heading is doing what? Is going to the next line, because it doesn't have the space to basically adjust itself. So we're gonna target the heading. What can we do about the heading to make it adjust in the space it has?
Margin?
No, we don't have any space to move this heading to. What can we do? Like, it's totally up to you as a developer. You have to judge what should we do in order to make them responsive in the screen size. Think like a developer. Okay, we are using media queries. Look, here's 100,000 pixels. So now we want to do something with this heading. So basically the space is low, okay, the size is low, but the text size is too big for the smaller screen. So what we can do is, on the 1000 pixels we can decrease the size of this heading. Can we do that? So if we were to do decrease the size of the heading, we would have more space for. Yeah, exactly. we can decrease the font size, so it's gonna have more space to move. So when it reaches 1000 pixels, what I can do is I'll say tile section, and then h1 is gonna have font size of, but I think we have put 3 rems. Yeah, we have put 3 rems. Let's decrease it to maybe, let's say, 2 rems. Yeah, look, now if I were to decrease more, okay, now we have the problem here because this paragraph doesn't look good. So here 6 and yeah 678, so let's round it off to 680. So now we don't have anything to do with our website. Like now we don't have the width. Now we can't change the font size because it's going to be too small, okay, which wouldn't look good on the smaller screens. So
The line height is already there.
yeah, the line height is there. So what we can do is, very good catch. So what should we do? What can we do when it reaches 680 pixels? We can decrease the line height. Yes, also we can decrease the
Like one.
yeah, good. So also we can decrease the font size of the paragraph when it reaches what, 680 pixels. So where should I add 680? Above or below this? Above. Yeah, so I'll copy it and I'll say now let's do it for 6, where's the 8, 680px. So for the P we can change the line height, decrease the line height. So we have, yeah, good. So it was I guess 1.5, so we can change it to 1. Yeah, 1, good. And also we can decrease the size, so I'll say font size to be, let's say, 0.8 rems. Yeah, it looks good. Similarly we can do with
Give more space between the paragraphs, or
yeah, we can change that. Let's say the margin by default it was 1 rem, so we can change it to, let's say, 0. Which is 0.7 rems. Only from the,
font size?
I guess it's good. It's small. Now we can change the font size for h2. Okay, let's change that. So I'll copy this and I'll say it's not h2, it was h1, and we don't want this property or this property. We can target this one. So 1.5 on 680 pixels. Perfect. So let's decrease the size. Yeah, now we have the problem at, also this paragraph doesn't look good. Why? Because it's not justified. Okay, look, we some lines are ending here, some are ending here, some are here, some are here, some are here. So I want to justify the content. So in the main paragraph, where's the main paragraph? Here it is. So I'm going to say text align. We have said about center, left and right. Just one more, justify. So it's going to do what? It's going to justify it, like it's going to start and end at the same position, like everything is justified now. Okay, do you guys know about text justified? Like we have this in Word as well, Microsoft Word. Well, let me tell you what I'm talking about. So I'll open the Word. So I'll say Wikipedia, and let's say React. So I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Let me copy all of this, and we have Word with Word. Here it is. Okay, so by default it's basically aligned on the left side of the page. Okay, if I were to press this, it's gonna align on the right side of the page. Okay, just as we have studied about text align left, right and center. If I were to do this, it's gonna align on the center of the screen. But there's one more, it's justify. What justify is gonna do is gonna start and end each line on the same width. Look, all of them is justified now. Doesn't make any sense, the justify thing?
So it would be text align justify.
Yeah, text align justify. So we're gonna justify our paragraph. Like each line is gonna be on the same width.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so where was it? Here. So everything is gonna be aligned. So yeah, now we have the problem at 474. Let's round it off to maybe 480 pixels. So what should we do? Now comes the last thing. What should we do in 480 pixels? We are gonna do it like this. Now there's no more thing we can do apart from changing the direction. Like now these things are gonna be up and down, like in a column wise direction. So where is that 480 pixels? So I'm gonna go below this because it's something smaller than 545. I've copied it, and then I'll say 480. Save it. Okay, what should I do at 480? I'm gonna make them go in a column. What should I do?
You have to make a
Yeah, what was
go
the
to the
property?
other column.
Is a flex direction.
Good, flex direction. Flex direction on what? What is this main section?
Hero.
Hero. So I'll say hero, and
Mm.
I'll say flex direction to be column. There you go, perfect. Now, but there's one last thing
Because the
remaining.
class is gonna end under a minute.
Oh, it's about
Oh,
to end.
wait. Let me give you a new link. Okay, you can leave. I'll send you a new link.
Okay.
Okay, so we were talking about, yeah. So one last thing remains in this section is I want all of the title section elements to be in the center. So I'll go inside this media query at 480. I want them in the center. So I'll say the title section, everything should be in the text line in the center. So perfect. Everything is the center apart from the paragraph. Why do you think paragraph is not in the center? Why do you think it happened? Like the heading is in the center, the buttons are in the center, but this
Does
paragraph is not in the center.
does it have a different parent?
No, no, no. Because we have specifically said for the paragraph. Where was it?
Text align justify, you
Yeah,
said before.
good. We have
So now it would
specified
be
it.
text align center.
Yeah, good. So basically, why isn't this working? Because this is basically a generic one, like apply to everyone. But here we have specifically said that the paragraph should be justified, so that's why the generic one isn't being applied, because the specific one has the more priority as compared to the generic one. So we have to be specific, just like we were on the bigger screen. So we'll say title section and then P. It should be text align in the center. Perfect. Let's remove this border. So border, perfect. If you were to, let's say, open on that mobile device extension I've told you guys about, so it'll be perfectly aligned. Okay, so this is how our website is going to be looked on the mobile screen, and not just on the mobile screen. This website is responsive for every screen size. If you were to decrease the size, it's going to do it for every screen. Look, for the bigger screen it has big text, big line spaces, like everything, big width. But for the
Yeah.
smaller screens, it's gonna be aligned perfectly. Okay,
Got it.
so I do admit this topic is kind of tricky, kind of complex, because it's something new, and also this is called the headache for the front-end developers, because it's basically what you are doing is you are creating like 3 to 4 websites. Like it's gonna be one website, but you have to create it 3 to 4 different times. Okay, you have to create it differently for every screen size, and it is
Yeah, I think
kind of,
that's why it got tricky because we're doing it for
yeah,
multiple screen sizes.
exactly. So but again, this is the
So
demand. Again, you don't have to do it. Okay, let me give you a head start. You don't have to do it. Like if, for example, this is just the 2 sections and we have around, let's say, I guess 300 to 400 lines, 115 for this one, and I guess 50, yeah, 200 to 250 lines we have only for these two small sections. So when you have big websites, if you were to do this code like what we are doing here with media queries, the code basically reaches around 10,000 lines. Okay, if you were to do it with just this, that's why we never use media queries, to be honest. We use frameworks for that. Like what we are doing here, all of them can be achieved with just one line. Okay, but to understand those concepts, you have to understand these concepts. But I'm giving you a head start. You don't have to do this. Okay, it's just for what we are going to study next. But you have to study
Okay.
this. Okay, because this is basically kind of like a base for what we want to study as a
Yeah, but
next
with the
topic.
revision today, it was much more easier.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, as in, like, it is tricky, but like, I understood it better today.
Well, that's really good. That's really good. So basically, I'm not gonna do any more sections because, as I said, I do admit this is kind of tricky. So for the homework, that is only what you have to do. But there's a condition, and the condition is that you have to submit me this assignment by tomorrow. Like you don't have to submit me before the next
Okay.
class. You have to submit me tomorrow, and I'm gonna send you a new assignment in 2 days.
Okay.
Okay, but this assignment is due tomorrow.
The homework is this one, the
just
one you
this
did
just
today?
this but it should be
Just
fully
what I see
responsive.
on this screen?
Yeah, just this. Okay, but
Okay.
it has to be responsive. And the second thing, you have to upload it on GitHub and send me the link. So you
Okay.
have basically three homeworks.
Okay.
One is this one, what you see here. Second one, it should be responsive. And the third one, you have to upload it on GitHub and send me the link. So basically three homeworks. It's not three, but it's technically three, but not
Okay.
actual three. So any questions?
No.
Okay, so inshallah we'll meet in the next class, and do this assignment please, because it's really important, and I'll
And
assign
this
you a
one
new.
should be responsive just the way you showed it to us?
Yeah, exactly, just like that.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll assign you
Okay.
a new assignment, and you can make it however you want it to be, but it should be responsive. The new assignment is going to be like whatever you want to do it.
Wait,
Okay.
so I have a question.
Yeah.
We're not copying exactly what you did here. We could do whatever we want,
Yeah, you
right?
can do whatever you want. You can choose whatever image you want, whatever text you want, whatever the colors, whatever you want. But it should be responsive. It should have an app bar. It should
Okay.
have a hero section, but everything
Okay.
should be responsive.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, got it.
All
So, any
right.
more questions?
No,
Okay.
thank
So,
That's
you.
it.
okay.
Thank
Allah
you.
Hafiz. Allah Hafiz. You guys can leave.
Okay, Allah
Allah
Hafiz.
Hafiz.